Hello, and welcome. Episode 2 of Retro World Order. Have you missed us? It's been a little bit since we've chatted. He's Los from The Talking Place, and I'm Mike from On Second Thought with Mike and Matt, and we're back with another episode to discuss handheld gaming addictions and other retro novelties, or something of the sort. What is going on, Los?
Nothing. Summer kicking my ass. Pretty much what it always is every year. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Well, you know, when I podcast, I do have to discuss the weather at the top. You know, it has to be done, especially at my age. Hit me with some temperatures in Florida at the moment.
It is so hot. I do not want to check my mail. I have to wait for the sun to go down in order to go to my mailbox to get the mail. It's pretty bad. I hear that everywhere, generally like all over the world, is feeling like Florida. So I guess you guys, could feel that, but more or less it's been horrible here. It's just as hot at the nighttime that it is in the daytime too. Like it's terrible. Like I can't even. It's gotten to the point. I'm telling you, we don't want to leave the house. We don't want to go anywhere, and it sucks. It sucks because these are the summertime. You're supposed to be going out. You're supposed to be doing stuff, but you just don't want to. The sun is brutal.
This is the time where I miss a soundboard because I would have just been peppering you with the Duster Poindexter. Hot, hot, hot. But yes, we did have a heat wave. It broke over the weekend. Today I woke up, it was a nice cool 68 degrees.
That's a lie. That is not true.
It was true. Absolutely was 68 this morning, and it quickly got up to about 85 this afternoon.
Got up to 85. That is horrible. I'm so sorry.
It'll probably hold there for the next week or so. My son is headed to Phoenix here in a few weeks for school, and I hear like last week it was 112 or 110. So yeah, he'll quickly get an introduction to the heat. I mean, that's if it was 68 here this morning. That's almost not quite double, but it's almost like double. When you get to 112, it might as well be double than what it was. So.
Yeah, Phoenix is no joke. I mean, it's like that area where if I hear somebody say it's hot, then usually someone says it's hot. It's like, oh yeah, have you been to Florida? But like over there on that side, like I don't know, that's another level. That's above Florida, I think, because we have the humidity here. The humidity is what gets you. That's what really kills you here. But over there it's like more of an intense heat, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me put my jorts on and tuck my shirt in. It's a dry heat, Los. It's a dry heat.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, here it feels like, especially after it rains. After it rains, it is like you're stepping outside into a sauna. Yeah, it is horrible. And like the wind blows, the hot air is like when you open an oven, and you get hit with the hot air. That's exactly what it feels like.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
It's perfect. It is reverse cozy season time. That means it is time to hunker down inside next to the central air, hopefully you have, and bust out the handhelds and do some gaming. The last time we have convened to speak about such things, you just had gotten the Thor, right? Maybe just a couple days or a week, something like that?
Correct. Yep.
So I can't remember the last time we recorded. Let's just pretend and say it's been a month and a half. What has the journey been like? Are you still just playing certain things on certain apps, or have you dug in like deep rabbit holes on stuff? Where you're at with it?
Well, when the last time we recorded, I had finished setting it up pretty much. It got to the point where I was totally happy with it. There was more that I could have done to like, tinker more. But I left it alone. I figured I was done. I was finished with it. And I was just, trying to play on it. That's where I was at with it. And that's what I wound up doing between the last episode and now. I was really digging into something, and that's pretty much the extent of what I've been doing with it. Like no more tinkering. At first I was playing around, going from game to game, testing it out and seeing, and whenever I wanted to pick it up, I would play, something random or whatever. But then I got into something more specific. I don't know when you want to get into that, but once I started getting into that, that's what I was doing. And it wasn't a retro game, technically, but it was playing on my Thor, and it was amazing.
Great. So I find with these devices, you have that sort of week or two where you feel like you need to hit every sort of emulation and try everything out to make sure you're using this thing at its full capacity. And then you settle into a routine or groove like anything else in life, and you find your comfort spot. So yeah, let's dive in. What are you in GameNative here, Game Hub? Are you doing some PC streaming on it? Like, what's the latest there?
All right. So what I was doing, it is GameNative, because for me, when I got the Thor, it was very much a retro device for me, to play 3DS games, to play DS and everything else that I wanted to play on it. And I was totally happy having it as that. But as I started thinking about it more and more, I was like, wow, this thing is going to be great for Steam games as well. So I started to like really think about what I was going to be playing on there from Steam. And it was it actually got me back into my Steam era, like, because I took a long break from that. I was not playing anything on Steam. I wasn't playing on my Steam Deck. I wasn't doing anything. I was more into the Switch 2 and the PS5. That's what I was dancing between for a long time, since the Switch 2 had come out. And like, I just, my Steam Deck was like literally collecting dust. It wasn't doing anything. And it wasn't until the Thor came into the house that I was like, okay, I could utilize this. I want to use this. This is something, because most of the games that I have on Steam that I was wanting to play that I never played, that are in my backlog, they're all like low end, more like indie type games. Not like crazy AAA things that are, gonna bog it down or whatever. So they were perfect for the Thor. And that's what I was looking forward to playing the most on it. And quickly, like almost within the first few days, the Thor became like my mini Steam Deck. That's what I was using it for. And it was glorious. It was perfect for it. And I was loving it. I got back into playing on Steam, and right now, like, here I am, like what, $60-$70 deep into the summer sale. The summer sale ends tomorrow as we're recording this. So,
yes, sir.
By the time you hear it, it's going to be done, I'm sure. But yeah, it's like, I'm very, very enthralled in the whole, Steam ecosystem again, and loving getting into games, and especially with all the crap that PlayStation's pulling, like, forget about it. Like, I'm all for, getting much more reacquainted with Steam and PC gaming and all that stuff. And the Thor is like right up there for it.
Yeah, so lots to unpack right there. And if we back up a little bit, for those who don't know, when Los and myself say GameNative, this is and I don't remember if we mentioned it on the last episode, but GameNative is an Android app that will allow you to play PC games from Steam Epic Games, GOG, Amazon, directly on your Android device. So it's just like any other app. You download it, and then you connect to those various platforms, and then you download the game itself to your device. And I think just recently they have started to allow you to download to your SD card as well. I think before it might have just been to like the device itself, but I think there's been an update that.
Yeah.
So yes, it is not something that I think you would try to play the latest. Like, I'm sure someone out there has said, "Let me go play the new 007 game," right? And your mileage may vary on that. But if you wanted to play like Blueprints, Racoin, Balatro, or even some, well-optimized game. Like, I bet you The Witcher might do okay on it because it's been out for so long. But, that could be pushing it. But, games that have been well-optimized for a while and aren't, too heavy on the system you could play. But, yeah, I mean, it is a perfect little indie machine if you don't want to have the Steam Deck. If you like multitasking, so with these devices, Los can be playing on the top screen, something on Steam, and on the bottom screen he can have something else going along, or play two games at once if he's that crazy. So
when that ADHD hits.
Yeah. So I am recording tomorrow with Matt on Second Thought, and we'll definitely dive into the PlayStation news then. But since you're not going to be on the show, are you itching to get that off your chest to talk about that? Because I am giving myself a lot of thought to consider. And I mentioned on the last episode that Matt and I recorded of, potentially moving away from PlayStation and Xbox myself and just doing everything Steam. So for those that don't follow, PlayStation has announced in 2028 they will stop production of physical media, that everything will be digital. And they haven't really said too much beyond that as far as if there's going to be a program where you can, convert your disc to digital, like Xbox is potentially teasing. They just kind of said that this was, driven by the users. And, I have a whole spiel that I can go into on the other podcast about that. So I don't want to take the thunder away from you, but I would love to hear, what your thought is. First of all, I thought of you almost instantly when the news broke, because I was like, Los in his steel books, he had a voluminous collection of those, just like my handheld collection. It just sprung up overnight. These limited edition things. So yeah, let me hear from you. What is your take on all that? And I know I think that feeds into a little bit of retro, what we want to get at here, because, that's physical media. When you think of physical media, a lot of people think of, of retro. And so yeah, go for it.
I don't know. It's like, it's going to be very dangerous to get into this, because this could very easily be like, topic of a show, go on for 2 hours talking, like giving your rants on it. But I'll try to keep it short. It is absolute crap what's going on. It's the biggest middle finger to their fan base, to their community that they've built, to all the fans for PlayStation and gaming in general. It's just a whole big mess that it's not necessary. For me, it's an obvious, just money grab, trying to get all the profit for themselves for all their digital games and everything. And it's, I don't know, it's just gross to witness. Like, I don't know how it's going to shake out. Like, I really, it's just like Destiny 2. Like, I'm still holding out for the hope that something from out of nowhere is going to be like, oh, surprise, we've been working on Destiny 3, but I doubt it. But it's just like, it's there. I'm clinging to it, it's the same hope that I'm hoping for, that, PlayStation's going to wake up and they're going to see what's going on. Like, you know, all these people upset and everything. But it's nasty. It's gross. It's going to affect so many different people from so many different aspects, you know, not just like, you know, the hardcore, like into the industry that we are, you know, like it's all the casuals are going to get hurt from it, you know, all the mom and pop places, you know, it's not something that is just going to be face value. Oh, no more games, you know, no more physical games. It's going to be, you know, it's going to suck all across the board. I'm hoping that something gets changed. I'm hoping that, you know, we figure out something there, like, you know, that's all on one hand, you know. On the other hand, it's also something that has, you know, it's been inevitable that people are going to be going more digital. You know, I've been saying that I think it was this generation right now. When this generation started, I think there was rumors that this generation was going to be digital only, and it wasn't. You know, I mean, they had their digital only system that they came out with, and Xbox has their digital only Xbox. You know, so it's like it's something that they've been dipping their toes in the water in for a long time, and you know, all these numbers where digital is outperforming physical copies and everything. I think that's all a load of crap. I think that has a lot to do with just them trying to push their narrative of wanting to get rid of physical. That, you know, which is something that they've been underlining for a long time.
Hey, look, I don't know if you're aware of this. I have a produce stand in my yard, and I sell 100 apples and 1 banana. What do you think sells more?
Yeah, there you go. That explains everything right there.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on it. I won't, you know, hog up the whole show here on that, because like you said, it could be a whole show unto itself. But yeah, it's going to have a lot of repercussions. And I think one of the things I go back to when I think about this is this is Sony's Don Matrick moment. And I don't know if anybody listening or if you know and understand what that means, but this is more than Sony stepping on a rake. This has permeated, infiltrated into, you know, pop culture and general media that doesn't cover video games. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This isn't just like a little blip on Bloomberg, like, you know, Microsoft laying off, you know, 3,200 people, and then, you know, by Thursday they announce a new controller or variant, you know, translucent Xbox, and everybody's forgot about all the poor people that have been laid off. You know, this news isn't going away. This has a lot of people riled up, and not just in the gaming space either. And so a lot of people are taking this as their opportunity as well to get back at Sony for what Sony did to Microsoft in 2013. So it's always one of those things, you know, careful what you wish for. So yeah, I think, you know, when you say Destiny 3 or you say Sony backpedaling on the disc, I think the backpedaling is potentially more logical than Destiny 3, unless all those 200-300 people that they laid off, you know, had an Easter egg somewhere that's, you know, that's going to get launched at some point. But yeah, it is a situation. And, you know, when you think of retro games and, you know, the memories of holidays and, you know, under the tree, or, you know, even just in the last couple of years, you know, you always got that package. You could tell the shape, and, you know, it was a good, you know, hey, what do you want for Christmas? Some games maybe you were kind of lukewarm about that you wanted to get, that try out, and if you didn't like them, you could, you know, either give them to someone else or you could, you know, trade them in somewhere. It was like nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? It was like a Christmas present. It was stocking stuffer. That's just a small, antidote about physical games and what they mean to me. But, obviously, the 360 PS3 era, I was huge into, physical media because the digital stuff was kind of relegated to like indie games at that point. And then I think more towards the end, some of the more popular games got digital copies. So yeah, it is an, as you said, not unexpected but still disappointing, and a lot more certainly to say tomorrow on the other podcast. But yeah, I am in lockstep in agreement with you that it's disappointing, and it's given me pause to how I proceed further with where I spend my money. And I know, that there's potentially people out there chomping at the bit to say, "Well, Steam is digital, guys. I mean, what's the problem there?" And I think the problem there is that PC is an open platform. Steam put up a store and said, "If you want to sell your games here, you can go ahead and sell your games here." They didn't dictate and say, "Well, we were disc at one point and now everybody's got to pivot over to digital." They were always digital. And then there's ways on the Steam store and GOG and other places to download your games so you can keep them. Where PlayStation and Xbox, there's no way to download your games and keep them. So I think it's an argument. It's an argument that's full of holes because you could put a disk drive on your PC. You could download these games. You could burn them onto a CD if you wanted to and keep them there. You're not going to get that option on the consoles, right? Yeah, legally at least, right?
Nope. You see, that's the whole big argument too with Steam PC gaming versus this decision. I mean, it's like you have Steam, like you said, and you have PlayStation. So this is like, let's say that's what these on the opposite sides of the field here. PlayStation, you want to buy your games for a PlayStation game for your PlayStation 5. The only place you could go to, PlayStation. That's it. The store. That's the only place you could buy. You cannot go to Best Buy. Best Buy has all the Nintendo cards that you could buy. You could buy the codes for games. You go to GameStop. You could, let them know, I want to buy Call of Duty on the Xbox, the download code, and then it prints out on the receipt. You can redeem the code online, all that. You cannot do that with PlayStation games. PlayStation, they took that away. They stopped doing that years ago. So again, underlying precursor for what they've been wanting to do. So they already put themselves in the highest spot for their PlayStation digital games. So once there's no physical games, they are literally the only place that you could get their games from. And you think they're going to be, pushing them down in high discounts? You think they're going to be, carrying anything like that? Like it's like, if this is the only place that you have to get them, then you're going to be SOL. You could be, paying $100 for the next Madden, for whatever it is. It's like, it's versus Steam. Steam, like you said, you have Steam, but you also have Epic, you have GOG, you have, Green Man Gaming, you have like all these different places that you could get a PC game from, the same game, different prices, and they all connect, they all download into Steam, so it's like there's so much more options for PC, for getting into that ecosystem and to, having the freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do with what it is you buy. And that's the problem. PlayStation's here, they're trying to eliminate everybody so that they're the only people, the only place that you have to go for their stuff. And that's not good. That's a monopoly. It should be looked at as that. Like, it's not something that should be legal, what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is, you definitely can go down that path of that logic, like the corporation is going to corporate and milk me for every dollar. And have they raised a white flag on sort of growing their consumer base, especially when they're going to launch $1,000 plus console, and say, really, the only path forward here is to continue to monetize our existing customers, because we know we're not going to be able to get, heaps and heaps of new customers, because it's just the entry to get into the PS6 is going to be $1,000 plus, and they've already raised the current systems exorbitantly high, that they know that they're really, at this point, people that are getting into gaming, I don't know if affluent is the right word, or just, people that got money to burn, and not everybody has money to burn. And so they figure, the best way that they can continue making money is to monetize their existing customers. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that does, it makes sense. It's like, it's something that could be a sign of the times, with everything going on with the RAM and, all the, how crazy expensive hardware is getting. Maybe they are backing their customer base into a corner here and just trying to get the most out of them that they can, and it sucks because they're going to be losing a lot. They're going to be losing a lot I'm not going to mess around with it. I'm not going to play their game. I mean, literally, I'm not going to play their game. All right. When the PS5 launched, I bought the digital version. That's the one that I bought because it was $100 cheaper. And, when it came out, I was like, hey, I could, get this one right now or wait however long and get the disc one. And, I went with the digital, and I was like, I'm cool with it. I'm fine. No problem. Like I know I'll probably get a few games that I know I'm going to get digital, and that's going to be that. From the first 4 years, whenever it was that they came out with the slim PS5, whenever that, there was 2 Christmases ago or something like that. It was not that long ago that I finally upgraded from my digital to the disc version. The entire time that I had a digital console, I was so lost. I was like it was like I was sleepwalking that entire time with PlayStation, because a game would come out that I know for sure that I wanted, like, Horizon, Spider-Man, like those types of like high tier games. I would get those games. I would buy them digitally. I would, play them, whatever. But that's it. There was no experimenting. There was no like, oh, this seems cool, let me try it out. I had a list of games that I wanted to try, but I never took the plunge to buy them because I didn't want to commit digitally. And, it wasn't until I got the disc version for the PS5 that I was like, all right, that's it. Like right now, I'm in my Steam Deck era again. I was in my PS5 era. I started collecting PS5 games like crazy. And I got a nice little collection here, physical PS5 games, because I had the disc version, because I was going crazy with it. I wanted to collect. I wanted to have them. Even the ones that I bought digitally, I wanted to have a hard copy on the shelf because I enjoyed the game so much.
Don
so
Patrick
it's like,
is giving you the wink and thumbs up sign right now. You want to play your physical media? There you go. We got a PS5.
But it's like, I look at it now, what it is they're trying to do, with taking it away, and it's like they're gonna take all that away. They're gonna take away the fun. They're gonna take away the excitement of it, because that's what it comes down to. I am not gonna commit to digital only, unless you're going to be putting those games at like $5-10 each, which they are not. They most definitely, like 100%, will not be doing what Steam does with their game sales and everything like that. So, that's where we're at now. It's going to be a whole huge stalemate between us, and I'm just going to quit on them, and that's it.
Yep, and I don't think you're alone. Yep, we'll see how it all plays out here in the coming months and year ahead. They have about I don't know, year and a half before they can backtrack. We'll see. These things are probably already ordered and being assembled in some form or fashion. But yep, I think they were sort of high on their hubris with the PS3. And PS4 era, I think, was led by a different group of people that, I don't know if I want to use the word gamers, but they were just more in touch with their customers.
Yeah.
Shuhei Yoshida, Adam Boyce, people like that.
He was the key, I think. I think he was the key. Shuhei was, he was running shit.
And I think once you got Jim Ryan in there and Herman Helst and whoever's the guy now, it's either they're cleaning up the mess from the last regime, and this is the only way they know how to do that, or the board was saying this is the path forward. This is how you have to do this. But it feels like in one sense, it feels like an un-Sony thing to do. In the other sense, it feels like a very Sony thing to do. And maybe leave it at that and get back to the Thor happier times. And so what have you been playing? We talked about GameNative and you're doing the Steam stuff. So what's been a few games that you've been playing on there and enjoying?
All right. Well, all right. To circle, like you said, to back to retro stuff. I mean, we took that huge detour, and just to make it clear, it's crap like this that makes you really appreciate the older stuff. Because the older stuff is like we've been saying, it works. You got your simple game. Even back then, when the games first came out, you got it. You put it in the system and it worked. There was no DLC, no updates, no day one patches, no none of that. So it's like we loved it back then. We loved it now as we're revisiting it. So it's like when we started doing the show, when we first started to like talk about, hey, we should do a show like this. That was the basis of it, wasn't it? Like, this is a fun, this is a hobby that it doesn't die out. It's always going to be something to fall back on. And I think a lot of people, like, they've been falling back on it, and there's going to be a whole lot more falling back on it, I think, in the coming years. So
yeah. And I was going to mention this at a different point in the show, but maybe this is a good point to bring it up, talking about, people getting back into it and falling back in love with, maybe things they played in the past. It's no secret here that I've amassed a large collection of these things, and I'm trying, I am trying to think of a way to share that with people. And maybe we can spitball this a little bit. I don't want to try to be like the next, Russ or Joey's Handheld or Tech Dweeb, right? But I would like to. I keep going back to this word flip book, and hear me out here for a second. I want to catalog the devices I have. I guess with photography first, and then potentially some videos. But what I'm trying to drive after and share with people would be like a simple approach to getting these things up and running and enjoying them. And these are the steps I've taken, and kind of do that in a shorter, condensed way with maybe like links like, hey, if you're crazy like me and you really want to go down these rabbit holes, check out these other guides, right? But if you, this is, what came with the system, this is what I've done, this is the lessons I've learned, this is the systems you can play, look at some nice pictures and quick tips and things like that. And sort of, like I said, like a flip book. Okay, so on this chapter, I'm looking at the AYN Thor, and then the next chapter, the RG Rotate. I keep coming back to that idea. I don't know if it's of interest to anybody, but I feel like I want to document it in some way. This journey I've been on. So how does that hit you?
That sounds like you want a blog.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really thought of the medium. Obviously it would have to be some online presence. I don't want to like spend money on like a domain name and a web hosting. But so some sort of blog, whether that's various blogs out there.
There are cheap. There are free alternatives for doing such things. But yeah, blogging, you know me. I don't know if you heard that thunder. Did you hear that?
Thunder, howling rain.
Yeah, we for the past week or so, we've been getting some crazy thunderstorms. So now we're getting one now, so it's fun. But so if I cut out, that's what's happening. That's what happened.
I'll just keep talking. They won't even know.
Exactly. But there, me, I'm a blogger. That's what I've been for a long time. That's like my core. I'm a blogger at heart. So like this has, blog written all over it. Like it'll be perfect for it. Like if you want to get into it and do your own thing. And I started out free. You don't got to pay for hosting. You don't got to do any of that stuff. And, down the line, if you want to, you could turn it into a thing that you pay for hosting and all that. Get your domain and all that stuff, whatever, and everything will just switch on over and you could plug everything up. But yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it. The more sustainable way that could live on now, and then also grow with you as you keep on going. So I would look into that, because it sounds like you have an idea that is more for you and for who you care, who follows you. It seems like you're not trying to be, like you say, you're not trying to be the next big name in the retro game. It just sounds like you're wanting to document your journey, and I can respect that, because that's the way I am. I just want to document my journey with what I'm doing, how I'm doing. Like I'm not going crazy chasing numbers anywhere, trying to hit crazy likes and follows and shares and all that. I'm just doing me, what I want to do, to just document it for myself. So it seems like that'll be the best way for you.
Yeah, I think that's a prudent way forward for sure. Yeah, I don't have the time or the energy to, or the appetite. Or, let's put it this way: if I had the time, the energy, or the appetite, what I don't have is the knowledge that some of these cats have. I can sit here on a podcast and we can talk about being an end user on the Thor and all these other devices. Mm-hmm. But if you started, having me going in and talking about, Snapdragon, chipsets and, and benchmarking, I think I'd really be wading in the deep end. That would be not so much over my head. It would be, how do I say this? It would not be where my interest would lie at. So I think I would come out of it more of parroting someone else's words than being authentic. Mm-hmm. Like,
yes,
because for me, I play the game, I got the counter up there. Is it running right? Is everything smooth? Good. That's good. I'm not sitting there going, well, gee, if I go into this setting, and then, look at this other system and compare and contrast it to, that's not really where I get off on things. I want I want to learn the system, get it up and running, try different games on it, and then be a profiteer. You know, I want to enjoy the profits.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's how it is.
So yes, let's get back to your Thor exploits here. What have you been playing? This is the third time I've asked the question, and maybe we won't go down a rabbit hole this time.
No, I'm focused now. So okay, so I on GameNative, through with Steam and everything. Day one, when it first released, day one I was playing Mina the Hollower on my Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Do you know anything about this one?
I do know about it. It's from the people that made Shovel Knight. I am well aware of the game. I have acquired it. I have not played it yet.
All right.
I hear it's doesn't hold your hand, so maybe that's why I haven't booted it up yet, because I'm waiting for that moment where I feel confident in my skills. That it leaves a lot to you to figure out. But yes, I am familiar with who made it and what it is.
All right. So I got it loaded up, and it is like the top happy, like the most happy like you could get playing the Thor, playing that game like that. If you're a fan of games like that, if you've played Shovel Knight, the type of, retro type modern, game that I'm talking about. This is in line with Game Boy Color, like that era style type of game. And it is very, 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 there's a curve. There's a curve to it that you have to get used to. And it's a little difficult at first, but once you start figuring out the flow of it and the movement and how to move around and how to do combat, like then it starts to really sink its teeth into you. And the best way to describe it is something like, I don't know if you ever played any of the handheld Zeldas. Have you ever played any of those? Like Link's Awakening?
I have dabbled on those in the various Nintendo handhelds before. I never finished them. I wanted to get back to it on the Thor and on one of the other retro devices. I have that Dusk.
Yeah.
Set up and ready to go.
Yep. So that is that was for Twilight Princess, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. I still haven't set that up. I got to set that up. But for Link's Awakening, I think there is also a type of game like that, like a mod type thing. The way Dusk is, I think there is one for Link's Awakening. Did you ever look into that one? No,
nope, not yet.
All right, I have stuff. I think I have it in my files somewhere. I gotta look and see. But I had it running on the Steam Deck back when it first came out, and it is like very, very like updated graphics for it. It looks amazing, but that's another show. But for Mina, I would say it's Link's Awakening mixed with like Castlevania type. What are those? The games that I don't like playing, the Souls games.
Yep.
Mixed with the Souls game, like it's like
it's punishing,
a crazy love child. It's like a crazy love child of those three types of games, and it is punishing. It's punishing if you're diving in, because you like you said, it doesn't hold your hand. You have no idea what the hell's going on. And you're trying to just go with it, trying to explore. And that's the main focus of it for me, is the exploration of it. Like that is where it really shines, because it's not like exactly telling you what you need to do. Like, you got to get out there. You got to figure out what you're doing, figure out where to go and all that. And it's like it just feels the way the old games used to feel. And it's, modern, and it's, it has very, very tight controls. This is one of the games where it feels amazing on one of your retro handhelds, if you could get it to play on there, like the Thor can. But the D-pad is like, it feels wrong. Like it looks like a game that you really want to use the D-pad for, but like I tried doing it and no, you can't. There's no way the D-pad like you could play with it. It is made for an analog stick to be played on. And also what feels wrong is playing on the TV, because I hooked up the Steam Deck to play it on the TV, and like I lasted like 5 minutes. Like it did not feel right having it all blown up in such like a big screen. It's made to be played on a small screen. That's why I feel like the Thor is like the absolute best place to play that on.
And have you played it on the Steam Deck itself? Have you compared and contrasted that at all? Or you've just said, nope, this is the Thor and that's where I'm going? I played on the Steam Deck. I was going back and forth for a little bit, and I was mainly doing the Thor at first, and then I started going back and forth. And then, it's very comparable. Like if I was not playing on the Thor, the Steam Deck would be the next best place for me. Like it's really good. I mean, even I think the Switch 2, I think that is a really good place to play it on too, if you don't have anything else, or if you want to play it on there. I would go with the Switch 2. Maybe like let's say you don't have a Thor, you have a Steam Deck, you got to switch to the Switch 2. I want to say is the only place that it could hit 120 frames per second. So it feels a lot more fluid, it feels a lot more smooth, but still it's like on the Steam Deck, what you got, you're not going to feel bad about anything. It's still a really good feeling game. And it's not an expensive game. It's only like $20.
Yeah, I think it is.
And when you're playing it on the Thor, are you doing anything else at the same time? Do you have like, are you using like, a pixel guide like to help you out? Or do you have any sort of artwork down on the bottom of the screen? Or you just have it completely, or are you like, Mr. Helmer? I don't know if people are aware of this with Matt. He's got a nice expensive truck, but he doesn't turn the AC on. He like drives with the windows down. Are you like that when you're Thor? You're not using that second window. You have it shut down. You have it shut down to conserve power, and you're only looking at the top screen.
I actually do have it shut down. I knew you haven't gotten.
Were cut cut from the same cloth, you, Mr. Helmer.
I used to have just like the logo on there that it looked nice, but I didn't get to a point where I needed some sort of guide, and for me it's like I'm still pretty fresh with it, where I'm playing on it. If I need to know something really quick, it's quicker for me to pick up the phone and search for something like real quick. Like I don't want to mess with the second screen if I'm like, into it. So if once I got like something loaded on there, like if I was to go and load up a guide before I started playing, then that would be a different story. But once I'm playing and I'm into it, I don't want to stop and go fiddling around with the second screen and doing all that stuff. But it is very entirely possible, and it seems like I'm the oddball out, because that would be the best way to do it, I think.
Well, let's get to the hard-hitting questions. Have you put Pico 8 on this thing yet?
Oh, I still haven't done that.
This guy.
I still have not done that. I know. Like I have to buy the license still, because like I said, I have my other my other systems where I play Pico 8, my whatever I'm running, whatever thing I'm running on there, it comes with the license already, so I don't have to buy the license. I haven't had to buy it yet.
Well, you know,
so the Thor.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there's apps now. I mean, if you want to run it natively, yes, you got to buy the license and do all that, and it's very easy to set up on Android. But there's a emulator now called PicPic. I think that's what it's called. If you go to your the Google Play Store, now you have to supply the games. It's not going to it's not going to bring you like into the Pico 8 whatever that's called to search for games. Yeah. So you'll have to have the PNGs on your computer and then upload them into your ROM folder and then just do that. So I've tried that. It works okay. I think there's maybe a little bit too much bezel for my taste. I feel like maybe I'm losing some real estate with it, but it's a quick, easy way to get up if you don't want to buy the license. But you do have to go to Pico 8's website and download the games. Just right click on the PN to save them.
Yeah, I already have 300 Pico 8 games. So
yeah, but so check out PicPic if you want to try that. The guy's fairly responsive on Reddit and making updates. So
that sounds cool. That is something I did not know. I know. I did want to get the. I think I was wanting to get the license because I run Cocoon, and I think for Cocoon, for everything to live all happy in the Cocoon shell is you need the license so you can plug it in there and it gets all connected and stuff. So
yep. So for those that don't know, Cocoon is like a front end. I am more of a emulation station guy. I do have Cocoon on my Thor. I think I told the last episode I ran into some bugs and I never circled back to it. I should probably delete it and just start over and see if they've had any updates that have cleared some stuff up. I think I was running into issues where the Wii or the GameCube games weren't launching in Cocoon, but I had no problem on Emulation Station. Something like that. Anyways. So yeah, go ahead.
I didn't have any Cocoon is all I ran on the Thor. I haven't had any issues with it. It's for what I've done. For what I've done already, what I've played, what I've gone through and all that stuff, Cocoon hasn't given me any issues. So I have not done any Wii, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. And where are we at with the latest look and feel of your Thor? Have you settled on a design, or are you swapping things out to your heart's content, or
I have I think I meant we talked about it before in the last show. My skin making on Etsy.
Your Thor
skins. My Thor skin. So the last one that I made was for Mina the Hollower, and that's what I have right now on my Thor. Also, I was an idiot. I purchased from AYN, I emailed them and everything, and I was asking them for a replacement shell, the front, the top and the bottom, for the rainbow color. So I have the black Thor, and I was wanting the rainbow colorway for the outside. So it'll be inside out Oreo cookie,
Yes.
And they sent me, what they wound up sending me was the bottom faceplate, but they sent me the top screen, not the faceplate. So it was a complete screen replacement. And me, the idiot that I am, instead of asking them, hey, I want to buy another faceplate, I was like, hey, you sent me this instead. So they were like, hey, can you send that back to us? And I felt bad. So I was like, okay. Like I could totally see somebody getting fired for that. So I felt bad.
Sending it all the way to China.
They asked me nicely. They were like, look, we're gonna send you a label and everything. Can you please just package that up and send it back to us and all that? So I know that there's people, waiting months for their Thor and stuff like that. So it's like I felt bad that, they sent me a screen by accident. So I just sent it back. And they sent me back the one that I needed. But whatever.
Nice. Look at that.
But,
that's what we need. See, Sony, we can work together. You give people choices. We can, harmonize with each other and get things
exactly.
done. Let's see where else.
What is it that you have been doing? I know it's been a while. You've got to have at least like 12 new handhelds there. So what is going on?
You're not kidding. I have acquired a bunch of stuff. I got to say, I have been doing less tinkering just because of numerous reasons. Work, summer. I got this crazy hankering to dive back into The Witcher 3, so I just been playing through that and just beat the story, and now I'm doing the DLC. That's on the Sony machine. I know that's a fashion faux pas right now to mention out loud, but here we are. And so I have, been playing, as I've been saying on second thought, I've been playing all the shmups everywhere that I possibly can.
Yes.
So I've just been profiting after all my work of just bouncing around from machine to machine and playing various shmups. And I don't even care if I'm making progress. It's just kind of like end of the day. I got 30, 45 minutes before I'm going to go to bed. I don't feel like, starting a new quest in The Witcher. I just want something to sort of, lower the blood pressure, relax, and I just bust out these various shmups and play them until I start getting a little drowsy, and then I go to bed. So that's been sort of my nighttime routine. Usually Matt and I are talking to each other most nights on Discord, probably, 3 or 4 nights a week. And, he goes to bed a little earlier because he gets up a lot earlier than me. So when he's, usually calls it quits, that's usually when I switch over to the handhelds and been playing, all sorts of different ones. Some of them I don't even know what they are because I can't read Japanese. But I just know I like the name, I like the game, I like the controls, I like the visuals. And so I just been playing a lot of just, again, not one system, just bouncing around. But the machines that I have, the one that I've set up the most recently is the Anbernic RG Rotate. I'm not sure if you're
you got one of those. So tell me.
Yeah, if you're familiar with that. So it's a very small screen. And if you listen to the last episode of the other podcast, you will know that I had to go out and buy a magnifying glass because my eyes are just so bad lately. And so when I had to set this thing up, I had to use the magnifying lens because it is such a small screen, but it's a neat little device once you get it up. So I got emulation station on here, and I got my what I call a mixtape that I have that I usually use on a lot of these devices of the core games that I want to play and test out and just enjoy playing those games from a comfort standpoint. So I have something saved on my computer, a folder where all those ROMs are set up and organized the correct way, and it just helps me get the machines, the handheld set up quicker, and then I sprinkle in the other new games that I want to try out. So yeah, I have the RG Rotate. I have the metal one, so it's a silverish color here, and yeah, it's kind of I guess size of a Game Boy, maybe perhaps. I don't know. I never had a Game Boy back in the day. I was out of gaming, doing other things when those things were popular. But it is a very small device, but it's nifty. It's got a nice, I heard a lot of people complain that the speakers are in the back, and I don't know. My ears are shot so bad that I haven't noticed any complaints with that. It's an Android device, so if you're familiar with setting up the Thor or setting up any of the Retroid devices, very, very similar in that aspect. So, of course, I used Russ's guide to get me up and running a lot, but it's a nice device for me to play, some of the PS1 shmups on here. It's a great device for Pico 8. And then of course the Game Boy stuff on here works flawlessly as well. So, if I ever left the house, it'd be something. It's smaller than a phone. It's a lot thicker than a phone, but it is about half the size of my iPhone. Right? When you have it closed, it is about half the size of the iPhone. If I have it all the way open, it's about 3/4 of the size of my iPhone. So that gives you a sense of how large or small the device is. I find the buttons and everything like that, perfectly manageable. It's what I would call almost like a novelty device, right? Like if you were maybe someone that was, commuting to work on a public transportation, or if you were in an office setting and you had some time to kill, on your breaks or something like that, and you didn't want to lug a big device with you, I think this would be something ideal, especially if you really were into retro games. It's not going to play the latest and greatest, right? It's going to play up to about the PS1, Dreamcast, maybe some PS2 stuff if you're lucky, but, you're not going to be putting Switch games on here, right? You're not going to be installing Eaton and doing that. But if you want to, get RetroArch on here and, all those sort of 16-bit, 8-bit games, it'd be no problem. And then you can obviously do the PS1, Dreamcast. So yeah, it's a nice device, priced right. I want to say I got it for like maybe $79, if I remember correctly. So not a huge purchase by any means. So yeah, it's fun to tinker around with. There's a lot of things you can do with the screen because it. People were envisioning this to be like almost like an MP3 player, and it's got like different screens you can put on here and clocks. And I haven't dabbled with any of that stuff, but I do. I do.
I was gonna ask. Because the whole MP3 part of it that had me intrigued about it, and I was wanting to research it for the gaming aspect mixed with some sort of media player that I could listen to stuff on, like that intrigued me a bit. So sucks that you haven't dabbled with it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to dabbling with it. I guess a couple reasons I haven't. One, I get my music on my phone and my computer, so do I need another place? No. The other thing, it doesn't have a headphone jack. So
that's dumb.
Yeah, so you would need to use something with a USB-C dongle. So I have headphones that can plug into a USB dongle extension, but yeah, it does not have a headphone jack built into it. So there's that.
I mean, I thought there would have been a headphone jack. I mean, that seemed because it seemed like that was part of the marketing for it, like the whole music.
Well, Ambernick, yeah, those guys. I think the running joke is with those guys is they get it just enough right, but just enough wrong that it makes you buy the next device, hoping that they'll get it right.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they landed on there, or you have to go back and listen to Russ on one of his podcasts where they explain maybe why they didn't put a headphone jack in there. Moving on though, I've had this device for maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I just opened it today. And it really immediately has knocked my socks off. Out of all these devices I have in here, this thing feels so premium in my hands. Like, I'm not saying that Thor doesn't or some of the Retroid stuff, but when I put this in my hands today, it felt substantial. It didn't feel cheap. The D-pad and the buttons, and I know I've knocked them, and I think you've knocked them too when people have asked about these devices because they got a very poor track record with customer service. But I have the AYN Pocket Mini X, which is that limited edition one that's maroon and gold. The 4x3.
Is this the one that you posted a picture in your Discord? Okay.
Yeah. So
it looks nice, I must say.
Yeah, so they have the Pocket Air Mini line, and you can get those in like black and white and retro gray. And then I'm not up on my Chinese, pop culture, but B-Duck is supposedly something that's popular maybe in China. So they have a yellow one that's called B-Duck, and that's also available as well. But this one here that I have, the maroon one, is actually called the Pocket Air Mini X. It's a limited edition, and it comes loaded with a bunch of Chinese games that are, I guess, very popular in their, their culture. And it has like I'm not sure about the other ones. Maybe the other ones have the same front end as well, but it's got its own front end that's like an arcade system. And, it's very nicely done. And I played some of the games today. I haven't done any, tinkering with it at all besides, setting up Android, Google. But just in my hand alone and playing some of the pre-installed games, the games don't, back up for a second. Sometimes you get these devices looking at you, Ambernick, and other people, and they come loaded with games, and the SD card looks like it's about ready to, crumble in your hands. It's so thin, it's so poorly made, and you don't know where they've gathered these ROMs from. Some of them barely work. And, you're just better off getting that thing out of your system as quickly as possible and getting your own SD card in. Now, these come pre-installed on the hard drive, and you can tell that they've taken the care to not make this like shovelware, right? It's got a nice intuitive front end. Once you convert it to English, it comes loaded, everything's in Chinese, and I was like, what the hell am I reading? Once I started just pressing the buttons and landed in the right spot, it was very intuitive after that. But yeah, it just I think one of the first things I noticed when I was playing the games is that I guess the thing that bothers me a lot of times, even the Thor to some extent, is you got this screen, but it doesn't go all the way to the edges, right? It still has that bezel. Like they have to put that black around it. You think it's part of the screen, but it's not. You know what I mean? And so you still get those black bars. On this one here, it has slight black bars, but the way it fills up that 4:3 aspect ratio is so nice. Now, I haven't done any of the tinkering yet, so I can't state if I load up a PS1 game how it's going to look on there. But whatever they've pre-configured in here, again, I go back to the word premium. It just looks like it's a natural fit. The games that I'm playing in that screen, in those dimensions, just feels, like a very snug fit, and you're not shoehorning something in. It's the best way I can put it.
And I'm looking at it right now, and it looks pretty nice. Like it is, and I see what you're talking about with the screen too. That is not, it's not horrible for those bezels. Like it looks like a really, like you say, it looks very premium, and it's not that bad for price either.
No, these are like entry level emulation devices. Right, so I think I got this on an AliExpress deal for like $112 or something like that. And I think regularly they maybe were like $139 and $149. I think the 3 gigabytes, 3 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of memory is sold out. So I don't have that model.
Yeah,
I'm slumming it, Los, with the 2 gigabyte 30/32. But if you wanted to get I don't think there's any difference in the system itself if you got the Pocket Air Mini. I think they just call this one the X because when you boot it up, it's got like some sort of like X logo on it.
Yeah.
But it's the same internals. This is just a limited edition one. So if you really wanted a 3 gigabyte, 64 gigabyte one, you can buy those, and they have them in all different various colors. And then they got the B-Duck one as well, which I think is maybe $10 more expensive. So yeah, this is a sort of a mea culpa where I was down on AYN because I was hearing bad things about their customer service, and they maybe put a lot of things on Indiegogo and maybe don't fulfill, or I think they just have a handheld. Didn't I just post on my Discord that they launching one at like $5,200 or something like that?
Maybe. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so they, their CEO likes to get on these long streams and show off these products, and sometimes maybe you let other people's opinions sway your own, and I've just been apprehensive to bite the bullet. I got a nice price. It seemed like an interesting fit. Something games I didn't know that were. I never heard of Demon Front, but that's like a side-scrolling shooter. Think of like Russian Attack, right? If anybody can remember that from like the Nintendo, the NES, right? It's just a sideways scroller shooter. I am a sucker for haptic feedback and vibration. I'm not sure where you lie on things like that.
Yes.
So there's just like a toggle there. It says like, I want to say it says like, sound vibration and voice vibration. I just turned both of them on. I mean, it's like, it's like having a sex toy in your hand for like 30 minutes, right? It just does not stop vibrating.
Oh man.
Yeah. So maybe I need
that's gotta add a few stars in the rating. I mean, it's
I got to back off on a little bit on the vibration. I got to go down to medium. But yeah, I am very, very pleased with this to the point where I'm like, shit, man, I'm just save some coins up here. Maybe I'll get the B-Duck one or something like that, But yeah, it's very nice so far. And that is the what is on the bench right now. Later tonight or tomorrow morning, I will. I've already put Obtainium on there, which is how you sideload apps on Android. So I have that already installed on there, and then I just got to boot up Russ's video for like the 1200th time and configure RetroArch, and then I'm only going to play like RetroArch, PS1, and Dreamcast stuff on here. So I just got to get those things like set up, and then I'll start profiting and see what I like. I am sort of trending with so many of these devices now. Like I'm almost thinking of it as a console into itself. Like maybe this will just be my PS1 machine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the Thor will just be 3DS or whatever. And I can tell you my Retroid Pocket 6 is my emulation device on maybe more modern systems, you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's where I was wanting to go with it too. Like that was my mindset for stuff, because I have my original Ambernick that I've had for forever that I was going to use for the early Nintendo Game Boy type things, and like. I wanted to have like I kept on seeing these whatever, I forgot which one is the cube one,
the RG Cube XX or something like that.
That's the one, yeah. That one was catching my eye because that seems like the perfect Pico 8 device. Like that seems like the place to dump like hundreds and hundreds of Pico 8 games and just go to town there. So that caught my eye for that, and like stuff like that. I feel like these little handhelds, like especially the price point of like $150, like that's like the perfect way to convince yourself that you need more than one. Like it's something that I always wanted to do, and maybe I'll keep on doing it, because I think the Thor like I'm too like caught up in it to want to divert my attention from it.
Yeah. Don't be like Mike. I mean, yeah. I probably tell a lot of people like this in my whole life. Don't be like Mike for various reasons. You don't go down this rabbit hole. Like what you like, keep playing it, and the Thor can do everything, right? You really don't need anything else. It can play, anything you really throw at it to a certain extent. It can handle, right? I think it's got the same processor chipset as like an Odin 3. I think Odin 3 might be a little bit more advanced. But yeah, it's without spending really, really premium bucks. I mean, those MSI claws at like $17.99 right now, the new one, and those 1X player ones. The people that are not doing emulation so much, they're going after the the PC in your hands.
Yep.
But one thing I did want to talk about when we talk about emulation and retro stuff, that is something to consider, and it circles back to what you were talking about at the top, with Steam and Sony, is the Steam machine. And by all accounts, that is probably going to be a nifty little emulation station.
Yeah. I thought about it for that too.
And it's just not at that price point though, right? It's just not
No.
like I have so many things that can emulate at this point. Do I need to spend $1,000 plus on something that I think in the beginning you probably feel like you got FOMO over it, but then once you get it set up, you're going, geez, my computer's better. I'm just talking for myself. My computer's better than this. My PS5 runs this. I have all these devices that will boot this game up very quickly. Why am I sitting here at a loading screen?
Yeah.
So then it gets to the point of like, okay, if I'm not going to play it, I guess what I want to say is it's really got to be top of the line to bump something off of the main television. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure it's got the juice to do that. And so I think if money was no object and if you could sit and say, Mikey, you got the Steam Machine or you got the MSI Claw, let's just for the sake of argument say I'm getting the Steam Machine with the 2 terabyte and the controller, whatever the most expensive is. I think we'll round out that off to $1,500 or so before taxes and shipping. And then the MSI Claw, which is $17.99. I think I would spend the extra $200 to $300 and get the MSI Claw because it's much more powerful. Listening to Russ and Adam on Expedition Handheld and other podcasts, they say it feels next gen. That if you don't feel like you are playing a game like the 007 or Pragmata, and you're missing your what's the word I'm looking for? You're sort of acknowledging that there's limitations, right? They don't feel like they're giving up anything by playing on the handheld. That if they have it in their hand and then they dock it and put it on their television, they feel like the experience is one and the same. That they can't tell the difference. That so yeah, they're not making any sort of sacrifices by playing it in the handheld, and that could be exciting. But yeah, still a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, absolute craziness. If the Steam Machine was in the $500 range, like I would have thought about it.
Oh yeah, we'd have no brainer at that point, especially if you coupled it with the Sony news.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That would have been that would have been a much more easier pill to swallow. Like it's something like you said, no brainer. Like it for me, because I don't have a PC. I don't have a dedicated PC to play. Like the only PC gaming that I, hardware that I have is a Steam Deck. That's all I have. And a Thor now. but it's like I would totally have jumped into a Steam Machine if it was a better price point. But at this point, with it being so expensive, if I ever get that itch to actually do that, like 100%, I would be trying to just build my own, to do my own, because I feel like for about the same price, more or less, like you said, you could get something more powerful, more capable than the Steam Machine. So, yeah. So I think they very, very bad timing for that to come out now with everything, the way the world is and how, the shortages and all that stuff. I feel like, if they would have came out, a few years ago before all the crap hit the fan, then they would have been sitting pretty. There would have been a lot more people adapting to the Steam Machine.
Yeah, they who knows how many they made of these things. Let's just say for the sake of the argument here, they made 100,000 of them. They'll sell all 100,000, no problem. If they made 20 million of these things, I'm not sure they'd sell 20 million. You know what I mean? At this price point. To your point, if they made 20 million and they had a price somewhere around whatever the Switch sold for, Switch 2,
yes, yep.
Yes, I think there'd be mass adoption at that point. But yeah, bad timing. I think I mentioned on the other podcast that the industry people feel that they maybe baked 2 updates prices into one one release, meaning they could have sold it for a little cheaper, but they knew they had to raise it down the line anyway, so they just bit the bullet and put all the premium pricing in at launch, so they don't have to raise it down the line super quick. But
I mean, the Thor is like, how many times now has the price gone up for the Thor?
They all are. I mean, not exorbitantly, but they, it keeps going up here and there for sure.
It's like they're trying to not make it like a really bad increase. So it's like it looks bad like every 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so. Oh, the Thor is getting a price increase, But it's like, $10, $20 for each tier or something like that. So, but it's still, the headlines are not good for it. And it's like they're trying to not bump it up crazy. They're trying to do as minimal as they can, but freaking stupid Rampocalypse going on. Yes.
So those are the main devices I've been playing or tinkering with: the RG Rotate and the iNeo Pocket Air Mini X. I'll have a lot more time with the iNeo device here in the coming days for sure. And then I got some other stuff that I haven't even opened yet that I have to get to. And so I look forward to talking about that on future episodes. But maybe, Los, we want to talk about one idea we had when we started was having some sort of, either community game or game that me and you would play and then discuss.
Yes.
So maybe if, whoever's listening has some suggestions of things they would like us to play, we can, maybe try to play those on our various systems and report back on our findings. So this will be a test as well to see if anybody is listening. And they can give us some suggestions, and if no one answers, well, we'll come back with our tail between our legs, and we'll say, well, fine, we came up with our own list of games to try.
That sounds like a plan. I'll let me see. Are you going to post this anywhere? Anywhere you want to have this? I mean, where do you post it on your end where somebody could comment back?
The show?
Besides the Discord.
Well, I usually post it on, I'm not on Twitter or anything like that, but I usually post it on, I upload it to everything kind of right now until we've decided whether this is a venture to kind of gets back to that blog topic, right?
Yeah.
I think the plan was that you release it on your side, I release it on my side. If it feels like it's going to stick, then eventually we get our own feed and our own channel. And so for right now, everything just sort of gets bundled up into my other podcast, On Second Thought. So that goes to that YouTube channel, and it goes to my Discord and my Blue Sky account.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So I'll wherever we post it, you post regularly. Whenever you have an update to the show, you post it in the Discord, you push it wherever. I do the same. I put show notes on my blog, so wherever it is you see the show posted, that's where you give us your feedback, whatever idea you have for, ideas for games that we could be playing for the show, for the community here.
Yeah. Los will wordsmith some sort of catchphrase or whatever we'll call this, segment or topic. I like profiteering. I think that's, stealing that from Russ. When you look at his diagram, you do all this work, and then the last stage is always profits. So that is always a good place to get when you get everything up and running. There's just that calm that comes over you. Like, finally, this is where I want it. This is where it's at. And now I can kick back and relax and play some games. But before we go, just very quickly, the Retroid announced the Retroid Pocket Nova, and Anbernick had the RG 55 1G or something like that. Theirs is a little bit more secretive right now. They haven't announced, what the chipset is on that, but it looks very much like a Switch Lite. Either one of these things you've looked at. I know you're an OLED guy, right? You like the OLED screens. So would that be true? So the Retroid Pocket Nova does have I guess Russ was saying this has the first AMOLED screen. 120 hertz refresh rate. So yeah,
I am looking now.
All sorts of various colors. Now, because of all the colors that they came with, the control scheme, if you looked at the Retroid Pocket 6, you could choose whether you wanted your sticks on the top or the bottom. This one here, because of all the color skews, there was just too much for their warehouse to keep track of. So all the sticks are on the bottom here, but there's a lot of different, the usual blacks and whites and, GameCube color, but then it also has a lot of translucent colors.
The transparent. Yes. They have a watermelon red, a purple, and an ice blue. Why you show this to me, Mike? Why you do this to me?
Yeah, I went with the what are they calling this? Let me look real quick here. The crystal, I guess, is the one I went with.
Okay. The ice blue? Oh, crystal. Ooh, the clear one. Yeah, the clear one. There you go. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that looks nice. I'm very much in support of a Switch Lite form factor. If I don't think I've ever said it, but the Switch Lite is my favorite Switch. I mean, aside from screens or whatever, I'm talking about like the way it feels in the hand. The Switch Lite is such perfection for a handheld Switch system.
I think you'd really like the Retroid Pocket 5 or 6 then. My kids have the Lite. I'll have to bring one down here and do a comparison on the I think when I picked up the Retroid Pocket 6, it feels really good in the hands. Screen, and you don't feel like you're squinting. It's got a decent size screen. It's not it's not Steam Deck here size screen obviously, but very nice machine. Cool.
Yeah, I had my time with the Switch Lite when that first came out. That was my main Switch device for a while, and it's like, I don't know, like I was always the one to gravitate towards a smaller one. Like my Nintendo 3DS was the new 3DS with the faceplates. It was the smaller form factor 3DS, and like, I don't know, I just have something more leaning towards those smaller handhelds, I guess.
You don't say.
Yeah, I know.
Well, great. Well, another show in the books. A lot of things to be discussed, and we look forward to the next episode. We'll see. Hopefully, it's not as long as this one.
Yeah, it's been a while, so it's
been a while.
You can't blame us.
It gives me time to acquire more, and every time I buy one, at some point, Lowe's is going to we're going to do another show, and we're going to talk about these things, and it's going to be great, and we're going to have a good time, and. So it felt good to get a couple of these off my chest and talk about them.
Yeah, it has been my fault. Like, it's like I said, summer is very, very traditionally.
Hot. You got to keep it's so hot outside. Yeah. You got to keep all the electronics turned off, or otherwise it gets too hot inside.
Yep, it does. It's crazy. Like, it's like, especially when like I would take something in the car to go play in a car, and no, can't play long because it's like it gets overheated.
Well, maybe on the next show, Los, we will calm down about Sony, and we can, we do a lot of retro handheld stuff here. Maybe we can just a little bit dabble into a PS6 handheld and what that means. And what your feelings are on something like that with a Switch. Yeah. If Sony releases a Switch 2, essentially, how does that sit with you? So we will leave everybody with bated breath on that. Don't answer, and we will.
Oh, I had to close my mouth on that one.
And we will all talk to you all in hopefully a few weeks. Thanks for listening.
Peace out.